For my family biography, person I chose to interview was Spencer LeVere Dattage, also known as my grandpa. Grandpa, when were you born?
I was born in Hampton, Virginia in July 20th, 1952.
Let's go look at a picture. Do you know how you got your name?
I was named after my uncle, and who was named after his father's closest friend. And we've tried to keep the name going on in our family since then. We really like the name Spencer.
What was a popular children's book or series when you were born?
I think the one that everybody knows now as the most popular book at that time would be The Lord of the Rings, when they came out.
It's still very popular today.
And it made an awesome movie too.
What music, sports, or activities were you in when you were younger?
My first introduction to music really that left any kind of impression on me was the Beatles when they came out with I Want to Hold Your Hand. That came out about 1965, and that really stimulated music in me, and as a result, through the 60s, of course, we were involved with all sorts of rock and roll, and they also inspired me to participate in a band. So we put a band together, some friends and I, and we played locally and a few out-of-state gigs, but not a whole lot. But it was kind of fun. I was able to play bass guitar and lead vocals, and I was able to play a Vox bass amplifier, which is what, of course, everybody knows Paul McCartney was playing. So that was a lot of fun for me to have the same amplifier that Paul McCartney was playing on.
What family vacation or trip is most memorable to you?
I think my whole life was a family vacation because my dad served in the United States Air Force, and so we did a lot of traveling. We saw a lot of great, exciting things. But I think the best one I remember most is when we were moving from Moscow, Idaho to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. We hit all the wonderful historical highlights as we traveled from the west coast here to the east, and I think one of the memorable stops, of course, will be West Yellowstone. I think we spent almost a half a week there looking at all the cool geysers and waterfalls and stuff like that. So that was one of the very, very exciting times.
Yellowstone is very pretty. Let's go take a look at it. So this next one is called Adult Years. Where did you go to college, graduate school, and train for a career?
I went to Logan High School, which is kind of neat because after we got out of the military, that's where my father graduated. And so I graduated from the same high school that my dad did, which is kind of exciting because your dad also graduated from the same high school and participated in lots of awesome sports. But that I attended Utah State University for a time, and then I met your grandmother, and then I decided to move into a vocation, and that's where I got into the printing industry.
What jobs or careers did you do?
Basically, well, we'll say that as far as bringing home the bacon, printing was the number one. We did a lot of good with that as far as running skills. I ran multiple presses, worked in dark rooms and typesetting and that kind of stuff. But I also had little side jobs on the side, such as working with the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's Rider Education Program. That was a basically a summer type position, but we got a chance to go out and teach people how to ride motorcycles, and that was a lot of fun.
Where have you lived?
Oh, because as we mentioned earlier, my dad was in the Air Force. We have lived everywhere. Some of my fondest memories was when my dad was stationed at Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii. That was a great time for me. It's where I learned to swim. It was in the ocean. And I loved the touring and I loved the people. It was just a very great time. Then we lived in Idaho for a long time, up there in Moscow, Idaho. Was my first real sight of snow. It was a real thrill for me then. And then, of course, Dayton, Ohio was great because I loved Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They have the most awesome museum, which inspired my love for aircraft and flying as well. So I enjoyed that.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I'd like to know how you feel that I have made an impact on making this world a better place for everybody else.
Okay, so you've made this world a better place by one, just being a global citizen. You don't have violence in your life, but since you work with radios and radio stations, sometimes you hear things that other people have done because they have mud on their hearts.
I don't really work directly with radio stations because I am a radio station. I am a ham operator, and because of that, I'm also certified with RACES and a member of FEMA. I'm part of their reserve radio group. And so we have the opportunity of being deployed to different areas and participating in disaster relief. The bigger ones, as everybody knows, is like Sandy and all these other hurricanes that are taking place. But we did have a situation in our hometown where a canal broke and washed part of the mountain away, took 3 homes off of their foundation, and killed a family who was still in one of the homes. So we were deployed there to assist the city and the county in communicating to both the fire departments and to the police department, and also in securing and keeping the news media out of the direct relief of those who were injured and hurt. And we were there for about a week and participating with that, as well as participating in other public service events such as Dattage, which is a national bicycle race that starts in Logan City and ends up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And that is over 300 miles, or 200 miles that these guys ride through 3 different states. And so we track the riders with our radios and report in any problems, accidents, and things of this nature. In 30 years of participating with Dattage, we've only had 2 fatalities. So I think that we're doing a pretty effective job in helping there. In what way have I made your life better?
You've made my life better by being an awesome influence and an outstanding person to look up to.
Well, thank you. It's been fun having you in our family, and your brothers and sisters. And we do love your parents.
Okay, so doing this homework is really fun with you, because like I get to interview you and you're interviewing me as well. When we go to Bluebird, which is located in Logan, Utah, quite far, but yes, you could visit there, or Aggie's Ice Cream, which is also located in Utah. And yeah, any other times that you would like to share?
Well, I think the most exciting times was when we were first introduced to you when you were just a wee little lad or gal. It was exciting to the fact that we're kind of new at this grandparenting thing at that time. And I think what was awesome was the bonding between you and me, because whenever you would come over, you'd like to sit with me and we'd read stories. And I think one of the most exciting times is when you came up from Texas one night and you came in, it was really, really late and everybody was tired, but you wanted me to hold you, to put you to bed, and that was just a real awesome experience for me. The other thing that I really enjoy to do with not only you, but your whole family, is the tradition, as Addy mentioned earlier, is our little restaurant in Logan called the Bluebird. Has a lot of historical significance for me and our family, because my dad was a soda jerk as a kid before he enlisted in the Army at that time. So every time you guys come, we always like to take them out to the Bluebird, and they sit up to the traditional old-fashioned counters that they have there with the marble and the bar stools and all this stuff. And we always like to get an ice cream sundae. And then of course we have to augment, because of our school up there, we have to go to Bluebird, the Aggie ice cream, and get our famous Aggie ice cream up there as well. So we love it when everybody comes together. We have our wonderful family reunions, thanks to your mom and her efforts on getting those going for us. And going up and having ice cream is always a thrill.
So, thanks, Grandpa, for letting me interview you and even to let you interview me with these few questions. And thank you for being a really good influence in my life and sharing it with others.
And thank you for letting me be here with you tonight. It is an awesome experience for me. Thank you.
The end.